What's up, everybody? I am joined by my friend Max Grossman here. In a former life, Max used to be, I guess, my boss in some ways at a gym we used to work for. But now the tables have turned, and I'm going to be leading him through an upper body push-pull workout. But Max is a wealth of information. I wouldn't call him a guru, because a guru tells you what to think. I consider him more of a mentor. He challenges how I think, encourages me to grow and develop as a coach, and hopefully he will allow you to do the same.
Wow, thanks so much. Let's get into it. Show me what's up, because I've actually not done any of your GHD things.
Like, you get one good set in on this, you're going to be pretty torn up.
There's a real joke in that.
You can see your bottom rib just like poking out, and then you see how much you like compress and shorten that space.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right.
Second set, we go hard.
It was like 80% right there. Ah, God dang.
This feels like you tore all your abs, right?
I have like a new spleen.
So like a scaling option is to use momentum and like kind of throw your legs into it. But if you can just like squeeze your glutes the whole time or something to keep your legs fixed, then it's unbelievably difficult. So that's what I'm going to try to do. And we'll see how it goes.
Yes, sir. Dude, nice job.
Superset that with some neck training.
Delightful, yes.
The thing with neck training is like core. I don't think it's something that most people have to do for like 1 million hours a week. I recently reintroduced neck work after a little bit of a break. I did one set to failure and was sore for like 5 days. You just want like a cushion for your head.
When I do this, really drives home for me how not symmetrical my head is.
You got lumps on there?
I definitely have some lumps.
I would flip that around.
That's so hard up there. No butts. No
just did it again.
Which did I really?
Put this side against the wall. Max is one of the smartest people I know, actually. It may not appear to be the case right now.
What do they say? Your neck work is your net worth? It's big necks, cash chunks.
Manual resistance gets a bad rap sometimes.
It really does.
Of like, it's hard to quantify and like hard to apply progressive overload. Progressive overload is not about adding half a pound of resistance week after week after week. It's making sure your workouts stay in the like proper kind of challenge zone for you. That's something you can feel pretty well. If you told me that you took all the labels off my weights, you just have to add weight until you think it's hard, I am 100% confident that I could still get very, very strong long term.
Yes.
And sometimes I think the ability to like customize the resistance profile and like make sure that you're being challenged through a full range of motion, maybe be able to apply some eccentric overload or like push harder or less hard through like kind of sensitive regions. I think manual resistance is really, really cool for that. I'll push into the floor with my feet. Like I'm pushing really hard right now. This is a very intense stretch.
Nice.
And then I'll just start kind of letting up that resistance.
Yeah.
So that I can get that full extension at the top. And then I'll push even harder on the eccentric, like trying to smash my head into the wall, control it.
I think it's such an important thing for people to figure out how to self-regulate load as you go along. How much do you do with your neck work? Like, how robust is it directionally? Do you just kind of feel it out? What do you do?
Every time I take neck work out of my program, I end up regretting it. One of these days, I'm going to remember that like I just should keep a bare minimum amount all the time.
I like it. What's next?
We got bench, dude.
Bench. PR.
How strong are you on bench? Do we know?
Not very. So the quick story is that because of all the...
It's classic, bro. As soon as you start benching, the excuses start coming out.
Look, I'd be bigger if it wasn't Tuesday.
What I love about working out with you is you don't do any of the like traditional exercises that I spend time on, and we work out together, and you still make it look easy.
I don't think I've ever benched 2 plates, period. They're a little shaky, but...
There you go. All right.
Most expensive thing you can have is a belief that isn't true. So someone's like, my body's broke, Eddie. Well, it's not really in your favor to believe that, even if you do have some sucky things you're dealing with right now, you know? I have yet to ever meet anyone that I look at them and I think, you are literally not capable. I've never felt that. But so many people show up with that. And for coaches, for me especially, I feel like it's my job to help them just set that aside, because your future self is waiting in so many ways.
The single best thing you can do for someone as a coach is get them to believe that they can do it.
They remember every failure they've ever had. Every time they've dropped the ball, they've not followed through. And it's like, I come in with a fresh slate. I'm like, I just see you as you are today. Let's move forward.
What drives me nuts with how most people approach training the general population is they hear people talk about those sort of general goals, like, I just want to be able to, play with my kids and go mountain biking on weekends. A lot of trainers look at that and they're like, okay, we're going to do Turkish get up, functional training, things that mimic your daily life. Oh, you need to carry all the groceries in one trip. Let's do farmers carries around the gym to train you for your grocery store trip.
Right.
I think if they're just generally muscular enough, they're going to be able to carry their groceries just fine. Like,
totally.
If you like that exercise, knock yourself out. But I don't think that a lot of people approach that kind of training for life in a way that actually makes the most sense.
Right.
You train a lot of people for this kind of stuff.
Right.
What are some of the foundational things that you think about when training someone for life?
Most people who start with me, they're going to come in where they are not super concerned with physical ability, to be honest. They're more concerned with getting out of a few key problems. Problem number one that made them even pick up the phone or shoot me a text or reach out on social media, it's going to be related to body composition. Usually for a lot of Gen Pop people who are just starting out, they are trying to get away from something that kind of sucks and makes them feel bad. The physical observation that I've got more body fat and it's more than before and it's affecting me negatively. I don't like that. I'm not sure what to do about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of coaches don't like to accept that that's why like 90+% of people start working out in the first place.
Yeah. A lot of coaches that have been in the industry and been fit for a long time, when they focus on body composition for themselves, it's a totally different ballgame than someone that's just getting started. And they take body composition so far that they oftentimes have to sacrifice health, performance.
Yeah.
They sacrifice a lot in pursuit of improved body composition.
Totally.
They have good intentions when they don't want to see other people make those same mistakes.
Yeah.
And they don't want to see people make all these sacrifices just to lose 10 pounds. But I think it's an apples and oranges comparison.
Yeah.
Because for most people, like, what they can gain from improving their body composition
Right.
is so much. I think it's a mistake to say that it's all vanity and like
Right.
coaches will be like, just focus on how you feel. It's like body composition is a huge part of that for so many people.
For most people, if you do it right, body composition change and body fat loss for most people, done well, it's like a 6 to 18 month process. For some people, it can be a longer timeline for sure. But we're talking about someone potentially never needing to lose weight again. They never hit that how did I get here point anymore. And at that point, during the whole time, they built strength, mobility, confidence, nutritional habits, headspace, relationship to self they're going to need. And then they can look at all the other aspirational goals that a lot of coaches think are nobler goals.
Yeah.
That in reality, those are downstream kind of things. It's missing a great opportunity to pull people in and serve them and help them. If we don't say, hey, why are you here? And they go, I'm here for this. You go, let's focus on that. For better or worse, like the sacrifices a person has to make to go and say they've got 20 to 50 pounds to lose, those sacrifices are very reasonable. And for most people, they barely feel it. Whereas the trainer or the coach is trying to steer them away from body composition or fat loss, they're thinking of way more extreme sacrifices.
Yeah.
They're talking about like, don't see your friends for the next few weeks because your friends like to have dessert occasionally.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different conversation. Start with them where they're at, validate what they want, and get them there in the best fashion possible. So,
Absolutely.
they do this set.
All right, we'll get some pulling in.
Cool. Let's do it.
We got some single arm pull-ups. Could be single arm pull downs, but the cable sacks don't go heavy enough for us. I also like this because when you go really heavy on like a single arm pull down, you start to kind of pull your body up a little bit anyway, and you got to like brace on and try to stabilize.
Totally.
Whereas this, that's not really an issue.
For me personally, on just about every exercise that I can, not because I think it's the best way or the right way, I get the biggest stretch that I can. I don't consider myself super time rich right now.
Yeah.
Being a dad, I have a 3-year-old, and that means I never have enough time. At this point, I do zero mobility work. I do zero tissue work. Yeah. I used to specialize in that for people, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But I haven't done any stretching, any tissue work, any mobility focus for, I think about 6 years now. And what I found is I'm more mobile than ever before. My joints feel better than ever before. And it's not because I think it's worthless, but more so I just stack it into my strength work. Although I'm at a different level than a lot of my clients, and I've been training a lot longer. I do try to sneak in as much of their constraints into my own training as possible so that I stay connected with what it's like to do what they do. And one of the ways that I do it is by just trying to think, how much value can I get from this one movement and for this kind of person?
I think people are a little too quick to kind of shit on combination exercises.
Right.
Or really anything where you're trying to kill two birds with one stone. The hypertrophy crowd has made a lot of people overcorrect and be like, okay, well, everything has to be extremely isolated.
Yeah.
It has to be extremely stable. Like, if you're bringing in the second quality, it's at the expense of the first.
It's a waste.
You just wasted your time. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably an overcorrection. I think on something like this, if you stick with it long enough, you could probably train your lats and like get a little bit of lateral flexion. And I think it's going to be probably going to be all right. I think especially for the lats, more so than even other muscle groups. Like if you want to get like the rib cage involved in like a press, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. But with the lats that like wrap around the rib cage,
right,
it's particularly relevant. So I think if you are going to incorporate like some intentional, like rotation, flexion, like any of that kind of weird stuff, lats is probably the place to do it.
Oh God, where are we going? Bye.
There you go. I've never been one to, well, I say never, that's not true. I'm not currently one to obsess over like minor asymmetries and imbalances and that kind of thing. But I do generally I feel like I have a pressing side and a pulling side.
I have found that it has changed over the years. So for example, my left side, my left shoulder used to be super tight, super immobile, and also weak. Then at some point it became more mobile, felt better, and then still weaker.
Yeah.
But now the right side felt tighter and stronger. Then eventually left side became stronger and more mobile. And then recently it started to migrate back the other way. So I've seen it really like pass back and forth over time. And I for sure fell into this trap as a coach where a lot of people chasing, like, I got to get rid of asymmetries. I can't be different side to side. I can't have pain. I can't have tightness. I feel like that's a trap that can really just distract you from so many more rewarding things and make you think there's something wrong with you when there's not.
What I try to avoid is like every time someone brings up something like that, jumping into a 20-minute lecture on like, here's why everything you said was wrong. But what I have done that I think is a really quick conversation and often makes people feel a lot better is when they're like, this side feels weaker or whatever. I'm like, it's weaker at that, but you're actually better at whatever activity on that side.
Totally.
So for example, they'll be like, I don't know why, like I feel like I'm not as strong with the left side on the leg extension. I'm like, but your balance is better on your left leg, isn't it?
Right.
And they're like, that's kind of weird, isn't it? I'm like, it actually makes perfect sense. Oh, I don't have a good side and a bad side.
Right.
I have sides that are a little better at these activities and a side that's a little better at these activities.
Right. Sometimes people will feel more tired or feel more fatigued because they're actually just better connected to one side than the other. And I'll have to point out, hey, based on your logs, you're outperforming actually. I've had a few cases where someone's doing 20, 30% more reps with the same load. And they're like, gosh, this side feels so weak. And I'm like, you are literally crushing this thing, right?
Right?
Yeah. Oh, that's the pulling side. Yep. How much do you put in the vest?
It's about 40.
Okay. What are your thoughts on me grabbing like a foot elevation? And so you're doing a weighted and I'm doing a more of a decline.
I generally find myself going with a much wider arm path on a lot of presses.
Yeah. It's funny because I find that if I'm doing anything wide, I have to keep my elbows up pretty high relative to my shoulder joint.
Yeah.
It feels really good up here. If I go wide and I'm down here, it just feels awful.
Weird angle.
Yes, but when I bring them in tighter, I can really get that depth and it just feels better for some reason.
A coach that likes to get the skeleton out.
Yeah.
They would probably tell you, like, don't go too wide.
Totally.
Based on most people's anatomy, you probably want somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Whereas you're an example of, the middle doesn't feel good, but it seems to feel okay.
It does. Yeah, it's so weird.
Just that basic, anatomical model is not capturing all of the weird things that can potentially be going on.
That's also why I like the rings. It gives us movement options for that person. All right, here we go.
Push.
There you go.
Yup, let's go, Alec.
You said I was a bit of a diva for having my own custom handles.
I stand by it.
But I'm kind of going with the more optimal version of this exercise.
Yeah.
Rather than go like parallel with the floor, elevated, I'm adding weight and staying at an angle.
Yeah.
And the reason I like that is because I get more load at the bottom, but then because that body angle changes as I come up, it gets a little bit easier. So I just like the resistance profile of keeping an angle.
If I can sneak in a stretch that doesn't totally wreck the exercise and make it totally different, I'm all about it. I like playing the game of how little setup can I have, since like 90% of my clients train at home most of the time. So I'm always testing how little setup, how little teardown can someone have. If there's anything that's led to client rebellion, in my experience, is if I have too many steps in the setup. And it's not because they're incapable, it's not because they're stupid, it's none of that. It's not because they're lazy. It's just because the main person that I'm working with has a mental benchmark of like, can I do this in 30 minutes or less?
Yeah.
In their program, it'll explicitly lay it out where they can essentially do the program, if they're moving, in about 30 minutes. And in their notes, it'll say, hey, if you only have 15 minutes, right, just do these 3 things. If you've only got 5, here's your thing. It's not that they can't think for themselves, but we're trying to shortcut that, right? We're trying to reduce that.
I know you're coming out of an intentional body composition phase, and you're an advanced athlete. Like, you can look pretty damn good without trying, I know.
Thank you.
But you still took the time and the effort to do an intentional body composition phase.
Yeah.
Tell me more about what that means to you and what yours has looked like.
There shows up this thinking like, you shouldn't have to try to have things you want, which is a bit odd to me. If you're going to make a significant change in something like your body composition, it's hard enough and inconvenient enough. You want to go all the way in on it. And so that generally means I'm going to be intentional. When I want to make changes and drop body fat, I'm going to focus, I'm going to get it done, and it's going to be as effective and efficient as possible. And on the flip side, if you're going to indulge, if you're going to relax, if you're going to take it easy in your life, do that on purpose too.
Yeah.
Right. Versus be kind of stuck in the middle. We have name brand diets where people say, hey, cook more of your food, or clean up the quality of your food. Or if you just focus on doing this, you'll probably lose body fat, or you'll probably make a change. A lot of people put in a lot of work and a lot of hope into something that is not solely to get them the thing they want. It's a side road that might get them the thing they want. I don't really like gambling. I don't gamble. I tell people we want as close to a near guarantee as possible. Let's get them in the fast lane. 0.5% to 1% of body weight loss per week. Get it done. Have an end date on the timeline. Go back to maintenance. Love your life. Enjoy more food.
Well, for every person out there that they just started the workout program and they're like, yeah, I didn't even think about my weight. My bench press went up 50 pounds and I took 2 minutes off my 5K, and without even thinking about it, I dropped 20 pounds. Like, that happens for some people.
Totally.
But for every person like that, there's got to be at least 5 to 10 other people who are like, I don't understand. Like, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting faster, but like, I'm still frustrated. It's not just vanity. Like, there's real health consequences associated with excess adiposity. There's a lot of people out there that are putting in the times and they're getting results. They're not getting all of the results.
They're frustrated. They've hit that I'm done point, right? I've tried everything. So now I need to have a better method. If you're not getting jacked and crazy strong and crazy fit by accident, you probably just need to level up a few things to make it a more purposeful system or method. Some people, they don't want to appear like too serious. Yeah. Like, oh, this is too serious. Like, I got these results because I cared too much.
That's often it's a kind of defense, like protection mechanism.
Yeah.
Of if you don't try hard enough, then you don't have to be, there's no reason to be upset when you fail.
Totally.
Whereas, like, if you know that you had a good plan and you tried your best and then you failed, then that's on you. It's 100% my responsibility now.
There are very few things where we get, I'm not going to say unlimited, but almost unlimited chances. You can keep iterating and trying and repeating, say, to lose body fat.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work as well as you want, that means some skills were probably missing. There's something in the plan that could have been better. Maybe the plan was great. Consistency just wasn't there. Yeah. So we just level up little by little by little, and then success is literally inevitable.
Another defense mechanism that people have is overcomplicating. Because one thing is like shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
And you don't get the results, then you can blame it on there was something you didn't understand.
Totally.
Whereas when you make it really simple, it's either going to happen or you didn't try hard enough. Like, simplify the plan to the point where the only thing that separates you from success is your effort.
Totally.
Don't leave space for there to be like these unknowns.
We don't fail. We just quit too soon. I know that sounds like just keep trying. Yeah. But in reality, this is one of those things where you can actually get there if you just keep trying.
Like, I don't know. I don't start counting until it gets hard.
8. We'll take 8. Whew. Oy.
I don't want to start messing with someone's calories like on day one. So I feel like if someone's just starting a new program, if I'm like, all right, here's 10 exercises you've never done, a new routine, new this, new that. Oh, by the way, I also want you to start doing this with the diet. It's just like a lot of changes at once. But I do think it's important to be intentional about it and not just like, we'll see what happens and hope that you lose weight. Once someone is ready to start looking at making changes to their diet and being intentional about their body composition, what does that sequence look like?
So I'm going to speak to the person I mainly work with. They've likely done some exercise, they've tried some diets, and they're not seeing the kinds of body fat loss results they want. Build up skills, get ready, and then we go into these intentional phases. So we say, hey, when you're trying to drop body fat, let's do it like we mean it. And then when we're not, let's maintain and make it as easy and relaxed as possible, because a lot of people create a lot of stress that they don't need about this process.
It's funny talking about stress. I find that a lot of people, when you tell them what's involved in a fat loss phase, they can get scared and they're like, that seems like a big commitment. And it's usually someone who has been trying on and off for years, sometimes decades.
Totally.
Or it's this thing that's always in the back of their mind. They're always trying to lose 5 pounds. This goes for years and years. And I always think if you could work a little bit harder, be a little bit more intentional and strategic for a very finite period of time, it might seem like a lot of work now, but it's a heck of a lot easier than having to think about this for the next 10 years.
Unfortunately, if you don't cross the threshold, if you don't do enough to get over that threshold, you can be absolutely working hard, and you are, and it's not quite enough. And then you work a little bit harder, and now it's enough. Chances are they're trying to do too many things at once. Change my diet, do more workouts, start cooking food. I don't like cooking. I'm going to just start cutting off my favorite things. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to see my friends. And it's just too much. Oh, and then I'm going to be hungry. And I'm going to probably overdo it, to be honest. So it doesn't surprise anyone when we break it down like that a lot of people fail and struggle. For most people, it can be as little as 4 weeks, but 6 to 8, maybe 12 weeks of get ready. That just basically means that you build up habits around how you plan your food, get it in your life, make sure you eat it, have a general game plan, make it so that exercise is not a question mark, but more of a consistent thing, even for 15 minutes, multiple times a week. And that makes it so that when day one of the actual fat loss time comes, like that short-term period you're talking about, the only thing a person has to change are the calories they're consuming. It ideally will feel like they're changing nothing. They'll be like, oh, I'm just living my normal life with a bit less food. But if it feels like I have to overhaul everything, I have to make massive changes, that's too big of a jump, and it's not going to go super well.
Psychological dieting versus physiological dieting.
Ooh, say more.
A lot of people, when they decide that they want to lose weight or they want to go on a diet, not only are they reducing their caloric intake, but there's a lot of other changes to their life and their systems and their food choices, and just a million other things happen to facilitate calorie restriction.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the work of all those changes. The psychological stress of all those changes makes dieting feel really, really hard. Whereas just the act of reducing caloric intake, there's some challenge there. Like, I don't want to sugarcoat it. But it's not that bad. It's often all the other stuff that comes along for the ride of like, oh, you mean now I got to enter my stuff in an app, and you mean now I can't eat my favorite foods, and now I can't do this and this and that. It's just this big psychological burden associated with dieting. And sometimes people do all of those things and they start tracking, and at the end of the day, they end up not actually getting into a caloric deficit in the end anyway. And they're just psychologically dieting. They're going through the work without ever actually getting the deficit that's going to bring them the results. But I like kind of separating the work piece and the setup piece from the diet itself. Because then you get to tell someone like, listen, we're not dieting right now. We're not cutting calories right now. You get to keep doing all of the things. We're just going to set up some systems so that you're ready for it.
Setting up these skills and habits so that it feels as normal as possible. Not that we're saying, hey, you have to live this weird, overly restrictive life. That's your new normal. That's just a lifestyle, right? And we're not saying that, but more so that everything that needs to be in place, that needs to be not perfect, but remotely a habit, remotely normal to you, is generally there. So that when the time comes to be uncomfortable and push yourself, it's only 4 to 6 weeks maybe. You get an idea of how your body works. You see tangible change. You go me. You got your prize. You can be done for a bit.
I have thoughts on cardio for fat loss.
Yeah.
I'm curious from your perspective. If someone says, Max, I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Do you think I should do cardio, or what kind of cardio? Like, do you have any general things that you tell people when they bring that up?
I don't recommend strength training to burn calories. I don't recommend cardio to burn calories. I recommend cardio for your well-being, for your health, for your physical ability, for all the things that are not actually calorie-based. For your well-being and your long-term goals, a couple days of strength training a week, that'd be great. We could do more, but at least a couple. Cardio will be great to have showing up, but for better or worse, I've seen it's not essential for fat loss. If someone wants the health benefits, the physical benefits, and if they like it, we're definitely going to include it. But if someone says, hey, you know what, I hate it so much, I don't want to start it with, I don't want to start that right now, and I will fire you if you have me doing it. Then I'll go, all right, we'll work with that for the time being.
What I get frustrated at the industry for is being too hardcore about the cardio isn't for weight loss, which like, it's true, but like what I've seen it do for people in terms of their like just capacity, stress tolerance, metabolic health, and then what that allows them to do.
One of my favorite ways that a person can, burn calories is doing physical things they enjoy with people. What a concept. And so what we know is that a person who has better cardiovascular fitness, some decent strength, decent movement skills, they're just going to feel less restricted and like they can go try stuff. They can show up to a random running group. They're not there to burn calories. They're there to have a good time and connect with their community, but they're burning a boatload of calories too. And it just makes everything seem so much easier. Again, they're not there for the calories, but that generally fitter body allows them to do more physical things, which makes it all easier.
Would you rather be stronger than you look, or look stronger than you are?
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna have to add one part to this, I know, simple question, which is, what's the gap? There was a time where I almost wanted to look unimpressive and be able to do impressive things.
People would be like, you're stronger than you look, and be like, oh, thank you very much. And now as someone who's worked a little bit harder to try to put on some intentional size, people will be like, hey, you're stronger than you look. I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Why did you, oh God,
did you not see?
Okay, I'll put it this way. If I felt that I could still do things that I felt were reasonably impressive, and then my look was a bit beyond that, I would be okay with that trade today. This guy's like hammering these dead stop Nordics, like, wait for it.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I know. Get those Nordics! That's what I'm talking about! Those look so strong. Those look so strong. Those look great.
Very impressive.
You were just like, and just like came right up.
And if I'm like, oh yeah, this came from arm wrestling.
Sure.
Then I'll get some arm wrestler. They're like, that's not an actual arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's not like proper technique for arm wrestling. Or I'll be like, I got this from wrestling and like jiu-jitsu. And people will be like, I've never seen it. I've done jiu-jitsu for years. I've never seen that. It's like, it's loosely inspired.
So the highest level climbers had some muscle assessments done to try to determine what are like key secret muscle groups that just like climbing really develops. And one of those internal rotators though in the like the subscap kind of area.
That's
so we'll see what I got.
You'll be pretty good at it.
Because like climbers, you're always, the walls in front of you, so you're always doing this a little bit. You create a lot of compression with your arms and legs to clamp to the wall. And usually what that means is you get this really significant valgus moment with your elbows. Where you're just like, done. You're done with this, done. Was that the last thing?
I think that was the last thing. I think if you can shoot intro now.
Sure. Intro, outro. Yeah. All right, I'll put these back.